Howdy, y'all. Caleb here, and we're talking the FAQ that just dropped. AOS 3.0. Now we've got our FAQ, so now we can press forward, start building your lists, and start playing. Before we get to that, I just wrapped up. We were doing like a podcast with the WanderingLizardWizard. I'll link them below if you want some more Seraphon content. If this channel just isn't enough Seraphon content for you, go subscribe to them. They do some long form podcasts that are fun to listen to while you're painting. All right, FAQ. Let's go through this. What has changed? As I bet you can guess from the thumbnail, there is one big change. That's going to be a lot of fun in our army. But let's go through these real quick. We have a new FAQ that got updated to Warhammer Community and some new rules for us. So starting off, we're going to go through these fairly quickly if we can. The first one is Primeval Domain. So you're going to add this to the following rule, which was for Coalesced, which you got to ignore like the bad terrain features in that army. This rule says the scenery rule only applies if mysterious terrain rules are being used, which is kind of a weird clarification because, of course, you can only be affected by terrain rules if you're using terrain rules. So, I don't know. It doesn't really change anything. Interesting. The next one, I think we had this in our past FAQ. That the previous FAQ is gone now, but I don't think this changes anything for our Sage's staff and the Sacred Asterisms. It does say at the start of the hero phase, not your hero phase, you pick one Seraphon wizard, and then you give them the buffs, which was +1 to cast and unbind and dispel. But the Sacred Asterisms don't kick off until your first hero phase anyway, so you're not really going to get to use this in your first turn if the other player is taking the first turn. You're still going to have to wait until you pick an asterism at the start of your hero phase, and then you get to use this. So not really a change there. I think this is the same way it was worded before. This next one is big. Look at this. Spell lores and bound endless spells. Change the header to spell lores and bonded endless spells. That one spelling difference is a big deal, because now our bound endless spells are going to be called bonded endless spells, and they're not going to get unique war scrolls. Here's the rules for them. Endless spells summoned by Seraphon wizards are bonded to the model that summoned them. A bonded endless spell is always controlled by the model to which it is bonded. A model cannot be bonded to more than one endless spell at the same time and cannot attempt to summon other endless spells while it's bonded. If that model that summoned the endless spell is removed from play, then the endless spell is removed from play as well. So this is going to be a change in the way that our endless spells work. And right now in Age of Sigmar 3, if you cast an endless spell, you get to pick one that one casts, and you control that as long as you're within range. So we've removed that range restriction for Seraphon. So we still have a bonus to our endless spells in that they are bonded to us. They're always going to stick with us. But we do have the bad part of we can't cast any more endless spells, and you can't bond anymore. And so in your army list, you're probably going to be you're probably not going to do like a spam endless spells unless you have multiple wizards you're going to be casting. But they do get better here in that they're going to be bonded to you no matter where they are. A big difference is Bound Purple Sun. It could go wild. According to this, it can't go wild now because it's always going to be bonded to you. It's not the best spell now because the endless spells all change. They're all completely different. But this is going to be good, and especially for a couple of endless spells that are still good in the game, this is going to really help you control those and keep them in your control. So a great change here. One thing to note, one of our skink spells will dispel every endless spell except bound endless spells. Well, now there's no bound endless spells because they're called bonded. So that is an interesting change, and that's not addressed in this FAQ. So we're going to have to see. Don't take that spell unless you just want to kill every single spell on the table. Hopefully they'll address that later on and change that verbiage from bound endless spells to bonded. But that was a big one right there. As we go down, the lore of Celestial Domination changed the caveat on the header to Slann, including unique units only. So this there was a unique kind of rule in Age of Sigmar 3 that was making it to where you couldn't give spell lore to unique characters. So they changed this a whole lot in a lot of FAQs to give everybody the ability to give their unique characters spells from the spell lores and things like that. So we'll skip past that. Next one for the skinks is the same thing. Bind Endless Spell. This one changed. Bind Endless Spell has casting value of 7, range of 18. A wizard that is bonded to an endless spell can attempt to cast a spell. If successfully cast, pick one endless spell within range, invisible to caster, that is not bonded or linked to another model. That endless spell is bonded to the caster. And so now you can take another spell that somebody else has that has cast, and you can bond it to you. So you're still able to capture endless spells, much like we could with this spell previously. They've updated this verbiage to be bonded instead of bound, so that's kind of nice. But we're still able to steal other people's spells, so that's pretty good. Realmshaper Engine, delete this rule. It's replaced by the rule on the Realmshaper Engine War Scroll in this document. Yes, we're gonna get to that here in a second. We'll look at the War Scroll. So that is nice. Dracothian's Tail, nothing changed on that one, I don't think. We've got Parting Shot, nothing changed there. Still able to shoot and retreat with your Skinks and Fangs of Sotek. That pairs very well with Unleash Hell. That is a very similar ability. So you can put that on 2 different units. Path of Glory. Who cares? No, it's Path of Glory is gone. So it looks like it's been replaced by something else. So Slon Starmaster Foresight. Change the rule to at the start of your hero phase. If any friendly models with this ability are on the battlefield, roll 2 dice. For each 4-up, you receive 1 command point. So this is interesting in that if you're taking multiple Slons, which you do in like Dracothian's Tail, you can only get to roll for extra command points from one of them. So it kind of hurts. Kind of a niche case that this would ever pop up. It is nice that Foresight on Slon is different than Impeccable Foresight on Croak. And so you do end up with an ability to double dip on the Croak's extra command points and the Slon's. Same thing with the next one, Skink Starseer. It's only one model that has this ability can use it, and so that's fine. I don't know of anybody that takes multiple Starseers. Maybe you're out there somewhere. Here's another big one: Chameleon Skinks. Perfect Mimicry. Models in this unit that are within 1 inch of a terrain feature have a ward of 4-up. This is great because currently their rule was saying you got +3 for being in cover to your save, and obviously that's not workable in AOS 3 where you're capped at +1 to save. Now they get a ward save of 4-up. That's awesome because that covers you for high rend, that covers you for mortals, that covers you for anything as long as you pop them down within 1 inch of a terrain feature. They don't even have to be on it like they previously did. They're just within 1 inch. That makes the Chameleon Skinks pretty tough. They still have a terrible save, but they'll get +1 to save from cover. They'll also get this 4-up ward save. Now they're interesting. These Chameleon Skinks, they got a point increase, but now they've got a nice 4-up ward save when you're popping them down. I like this. Stegodon didn't really change. It's the same stuff about making sure the Stegodon's the mount when you got a Skink Chief, etc., etc. And nothing else there to write home about. Bound endless spells. They're basically saying don't use any of the bound endless spells. We've changed all those. Bound endless spells don't exist anymore. Sad face. But we've got bonded endless spells, so we are going to be using that. So now on to the big change. Are you ready? That model you have spent hours and hours painting and never played on the table? A new Realmshaper Engine War Scroll. Yes! All right, this is big. I'm excited about this one. All right, only Seraphon armies can include this terrain feature. Obviously, you wouldn't be watching this video if you're not a Seraphon player. After territories are determined, you can set up this faction terrain wholly within your territory. That's the same as before. More than 3 inches from all objectives and other terrain features. Yes. So, I just skipped right over the big change. That after territories are determined, you can set this up. So this happens once you know which side of the board you're on. This is great. And so we can finally have our own Realmshaper engine. Thank you, GW. Thank you. So we can put it on our side. There's no downside of accidentally giving this to the opponent. That's fantastic. And this new ability, 3 inches away from things, means that you're going to get this in range of an objective. You can put models in this, and they can hold an objective inside your Realmshaper engine. That is fantastic. That is good. Previously, it was 6 inches, and you couldn't get it on an objective. And so this is very, very nice right here. 3 inches. If for some reason you can't set that up with those restrictions, then you can remove one terrain feature and put this where that terrain feature was. So that just gives you an out. If you can't set it up however the table's set up, you get to remove one terrain feature and put it down there. So that's pretty nice, especially if you're playing with a bunch of terrain rules you've got a giant piece in the middle of your deployment zone that is something bad for you, you could replace it with this. Now, this does have a restriction of you can't place it anywhere else, but there is an out for that. If you can't place it, then you just don't get to use it. You do get to roll off for who puts their terrain feature down first. Defensible. This terrain feature is a defensible terrain feature that can be garrisoned by up to 15 models. So we do see some new garrison rules. So you're not going to be putting Bastildons in this anymore like you used to. But being able to put 15 models in it is pretty nice. That means you can put quite a few models into this as long as they're under 10 wounds. And they can hold your objective there at home if you want to. 3 inches away, they're all inside this thing. That's nice. 15 models. You put your guard in there and then put Croak beside it. Power Unleashed. In your hero phase, if this terrain features garrisoned by friendly Seraphon Wizard or friendly Seraphon Priest, you pick one other terrain feature on the battlefield and roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 of that terrain feature. Add 2 to the roll if the terrain feature is within 18 inches of this terrain feature, and subtract 2 from the roll if that terrain feature is more than 36 inches. On a 4-up, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. Same kind of thing as before, but this time you get to use it because it's in your side of the board. Fantastic. So, and that's it. I was kind of expecting some other stuff from the FAQ, but didn't see them. We didn't see any keyword updates change, and we didn't see any point changes for anything. So overall, not a bad update for us for our FAQ. The big things are bonded spells, and our Realmshaper engine now works for us. So some great updates there. Some great updates. So let me know what y'all think. Anything I missed in this FAQ? Any hidden tech we need to be worried about? There's also the core rules got some FAQs that have some stuff to deal with us, so we might cover those later. But bring on the Realmshaper engines. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next time.